Hello everybody, Assalamu alaikum. Today, or yesterday, I glazed the insides of a few pots, and today I'm going to glaze the outside, and I will actually not, and then after I finish that I will try to put the kiln on, so in 24 hours I will have a kiln full of fresh pots to show, I hope. I won't be able to fill the whole kiln today because I mixed some chamot or grog in the clay, and the chamot that I got in an unmarked bag a few years ago, and I don't know if it's actually stoneware chamot or earthenware chamot. And if it's earthenware chamot, it will melt and destroy my oven. So I'm gonna put some chamot in this old pot here, and if it doesn't melt, which I hope it won't, then it's stoneware chamot, and then I can also burn the all my pots that I have inside with chamot in it. So it will be an experiment, and I hope it will turn out good. But today I'm going to continue glazing these pots, and I have two different glazes on the inside. The first one is, I don't know if you can see it actually. Can you? It looks red or dark pink, but it's actually a light brown glaze. And on these other ones I have what looks like a white glaze, but it's actually a gray glaze. So before I glaze my pots, I need to stir up the glazes really well, and I will show you when I do that and how I do that. The glazes fall to the bottom of the bucket very quickly. So it's like almost like some glazes become very hard in the bottom. It takes a long time to stir it up. These two glazes I think are okay. It won't take that long. I use a regular kitchen mixer actually to stir them up. And once I do that, I have also noted what kind of glazes that I want to use. And the pots with the light brown inside, I plan to have a matte green outside, and then I will dip the rim, the lip of the pots in shiny green, and it will have a quite nice texture when they mix together on the outside, the matte and the shiny green. On the pots with a gray inside, I am going to glaze with shiny green glaze and dipped with a sort of a interesting blue glaze on the lip, and it will also be hopefully quite nice texture and color. This is my first video I've done for quite some time now, because it's been Ramadan and I have been too tired to make videos. And also these are the first days that we have a summer time in Sweden, so I can be outside, which helps when I do glazing, because it's usually very messy and dusty, so it's nice to be outside. Join me if you want. You can see how I glaze, and then in the evening or late afternoon I will also I plan to fill my kiln, and I'll show that too. So here is the glaze, and it's pretty well mixed still, because I was glazing the insides yesterday, so it hasn't started to fall to the bottom yet. But I'm going to stir it up, and it's important actually to stir it up a little bit between each cup, because it so that it's well mixed. So I'll just mix this now. And here I have buckets of clean water, and sponge if I need to take some off. And I'm gonna get a towel also. Now I realized that in order to immerse these into the glaze, this bucket is too wide, so the glaze won't go up to here. So I'm gonna pour the glaze into a narrower bucket. All right, this is how I do it. See if I can fit my hand in here. Yep. And then I'll let it dry a bit. It takes a few seconds so I can move it and then continue to the rest. I'm then gonna dip it in another color also. I keep my pots under plastic here so there won't come a lot of pollen and dirt from the air inside the cups. So here are the cups that I just glazed on the outside and inside. And see these spills? That's actually going to add to the beauty of the pot. And if you see underneath, you can see there's some, here on the bottom there's some drips. I will wipe the bottoms off so that it will be a crisp line is the idea. Here are these tankards. Okay, so now I have cleaned the tools, and I keep actually first clean it in with the water in this bucket, and that way most of the glaze parts will fall to the bottom, and then I'll pour out the water, and I can reuse that glaze actually. So I don't throw. I try to throw as little glaze waste out as possible. So now I'm going to glaze the other pots with shiny green glaze, and I will do the same thing as I did with the rest. So I won't speak much during that process. So if you want to look. Now this glaze is really hard down here. It's like rubber down here, so it will take a while to mix up. This is quite messy to do inside my studio space, which is very small. So this is actually, I'm usually procrastinating the glazing due to this. Sometimes I almost a whole bucket fell out. No, that was outside here, thank God, but if that would have been inside, it would have been a catastrophe. Now you might wonder, is it safe to put your hands in a glaze bucket like this? My answer is maybe. Maybe not. Have to live on the edge. Now all the big lumps are, I wouldn't say mixed, but they're not stuck to the bottom of the bucket at least. So then I can continue with the mixer. And it's really important to mix it well, because usually it's the material that gives the color that sticks to the bottom. So if you don't get it up, you don't get the color that you aim for. So now I'm going to do these tankards, just like I did before. However, I don't need the smaller bucket for this, because there's so much glaze in this bucket, so it will be enough to dip. And this is shiny green. This is my daughter, Mariam.
Jag vet inte vad jag för djurtjuv.
Nu är det.
Sorry.
I got way too much glaze on the inside here, because I got air inside, and then glaze shoots up inside the pot. But oh well, that's all right. It'll be nice, hopefully. Try a different way to do this. Like this instead. All right, then I finally have the big, what do you call it? I forgot what it's called again. Kanna in Swedish. And decanter. And this one, I think it will be difficult to dip like that. I wonder. I'll try. I didn't reach all the way down, so I have to figure out another way. It didn't dip all the way here, but I don't know if I mind that. We'll see. I'll think about it for a few minutes. There we go, and now I'm going to dip the light brown inside cups on the outside with the shiny green also. Actually, I'm gonna wait a couple of hours so that the glaze, the pots have dried, because now when I dip them in the glaze, the clay becomes soaked in water, and if I dip it again, it's saturated with water, the clay, and it won't take up the next layer of glaze really that well. I noticed it and I forgot it. I knew about this, but I forgot. And I saw that the glaze bubbled a little bit, which is a sign that it didn't work that well. So I'm gonna take a break now, and a few hours later I'm gonna dip the lips of these pots again. Thank you. See you later. Hello everybody. Assalamu alaikum. Now it's afternoon, and the pots have dried from the last glazing I did a couple hours ago. So now I'm gonna dip them in another color on the rim here, and possibly after that maybe even another color on top. We'll see if I get crazy or not. But this is, right now they are matte green, and now there will be shiny green on the rim, and when they fuse together it will hopefully make a nice pattern. The nice green color falls to the bottom of the bucket immediately. Now this doesn't look like it's very light brown on the inside and green on the outside, but it probably will when it's fired. I'm going to change the angle for you so you can see better inside here. The consistency of this glaze is like almost like non-stirred cream, a little bit more watery. It's really nice when you glaze that you have made a foot that you can grip. It saves you a lot of problems and trouble. Sometimes I forget to do this foot big enough, but when I do, I'm really happy that I did so when I'm glazing it. Now the other pots I'm going to glaze with, well, the glaze is called Blue Effect. Clean this a bit. Looks like that. This one I need to mix a little bit with the mixer. Usually it's actually good also to sieve the glazes before you glaze with them. But I figured out that when you use this blender, it pretty much cuts all the little pieces into very small pieces anyway. So I think it works pretty good without sieving. Sieving is you pour the glazes through a mesh. So that any big pieces break down to smaller pieces. This is actually blue. It looks brown here, but it's blue. Well, it's not blue now, but it will be blue. Pixie, the bird catching cat, is checking out my glazing. Now, what's left is to clean up the foot of the pots. And I will demonstrate doing one of them. So what I do is take a sponge and I clean Hello again. Now it's a little bit more evening. Sun is going down soon. What time is it? It's 10 to 9. So it's a perfect time to load the kiln and start the kiln. So it will probably keep me awake all night because the contactor that a kiln works like this. You set it on a temperature and actually a rise of temperature, and what the kiln does, it just goes on and off, so that the right temperature rise will be secured. And when it goes on and off, it's like it sounds like this. See if I can illustrate it. Like that, like a big knock on the door. And my bedroom is right next to it, but it doesn't keep me away for starting the kiln at night, because the earlier you start it, the earlier you can open it, and look how it looks. There's nothing more lovely than to open a kiln with glazed pots. And it's either a terrible thing when you open it and it's not at all what you want, or it's just beautiful. I'm hoping for beautiful. So now we're gonna load it, and I will do it in silence and in fast forward so you can see how it's done. Then I put these distances, so the next shelf will be placed on these. This stage is a little bit like Hansel and Gretel. So everything fit. I didn't think so, but it did. Now I'll put these cones in. This is cone 8 and cone 7. And that's actually an indicator for me how hot the oven gets. One thing is to put it on a certain temperature, but temperature and the time it is that temperature makes, I don't know what's called in English, but the heat mass of the oven. And this is actually supposed to be cone 6 or cone 7, so we'll see how they turn out. So these will now, when it gets hot, they will bend, and they will bend in different heat. So if this one bends all the way down to the shelf, then it's actually too hot in the oven. It should probably bend like this. This one should not bend much at all. So we'll see if I'm right or wrong. So all that's left to do now is close the door and turn the oven on. And then in about 30 hours, 32 hours, I will open it. And it's going to be very interesting. All right, that's it for today. See you soon and take care. Assalamu alaikum.